First of all, we believe that the initiative, the CEFA initiative, the first target, the providing energy access to those who have not, needs to be made binding, legally binding in a national context. We see too much, unfortunately, voluntarism. That's always a recipe for defeat, what we have seen from history. We know it's difficult to get this agreement in Rio, but if you don't try, you will never know. So we need to make that binding in order to provide the secure investment framework. Because we also deal with countries which are poor, which very often do not have proper governance, which even do not have in many cases a proper, let's say, democratic control, monitoring, evaluation. So you need, and some have said this on the panel, you need a high-level buy-in from the top level of the governments in those poor countries to provide the incentives for investors to provide the co-funding, because we need investors' money. I'm not referring just to the private sector, I'm also referring to public money. Much of the money is needed from the state. Do not let's forget that one. We cannot rely on the large electric companies to provide energy for the poor, because very often much of the funding needs to be philanthropic. The money, I think it's very important to talk about. Everyone is talking, oh, it costs 40, 50 billion per year. And you know we're living in times of tight wallets. The Eurozone crisis is around the corner, and there is no big appetite for additional funding. We understand this one. But the world is not running short of cash. Just to give you an example, and no one has talked about this one here, year on year, and increasingly with the high oil and gas prices, we face about $700 billion of subsidies for fossil fuels. Compared to that one, providing energy access to all more sustainably needs only 7% of that money year on year. The largest 5 oil companies, Exxon, BP, Shell, Conoco and Chevron, just last year made profits, not revenues, profits after taxes, which are about 3 times the amount what is needed for sustainable energy for all. I could be greedy and say tax them, take the money away. That's not the point. The point is that the money, these profits, are being reinvested in fossil fuels and in nuclear. So there is a kind of lock-in of the cash. So the money is there. The point is, what do we use the money for? We believe that on the second priority, which is part of the CEFA initiative, doubling renewable energy is not good enough. We understand the intention to do something good, but we believe we do not want to double unsustainable hydro. We do not want to double unsustainable biomass. Actually, we want to phase out unsustainable biomass and want to triple, quadruple, grow tenfold the amount of sustainable renewables like wind, solar, geothermal, which has the potential to power the world, of course, together with a grid structure. On the third initiative, on doubling energy efficiency by 2030. This is by no means good enough. We have seen rates of tripling energy efficiency traditionally after the last oil crises in Europe, in Japan, and so on. Even BP, which is not a tree hugger and is not under suspicion to be on the side of the, let's say, environmental movement or supporting WWF, in their last assessment they have stated that the world will double its energy efficiency anyway by 2020-2030 as a result from volatile and increasing oil and gas prices, which we see. So there is no vision behind the doubling energy efficiency target. We think in order to tap the huge potentials for energy efficiency, we need to triple energy efficiency by 2030 at least. That could be done, has been shown by a couple of expertise and scientific studies. So CEFA would be well advised to upgrade the targets and make the energy access target legally binding. Then we are perfectly happy.